Hey, I'd just like to start this video off by apologizing for my incredibly inconsistent uploading recently. I'm someone who struggles with consistency and I focus on a lot of things too much, but this is why I am unveiling a new upload schedule. I'm going to be uploading 2 reviews a week, one on Monday, one on Thursday, and try my best to stick to this because I have planned out way too long of a schedule for this going forward months, and I would like to keep to that because messing up one will fuck up the rest of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoy that. I hope that works for people watching, and I hope it works for the algorithm. So keep an eye out Monday, Thursday. Thank you. Enjoy the video. I'm a very particular person when it comes to comedy movies. I've always loved stand-up comedy and panel shows run by and with comedians. These are very common in England, with things like 8 out of 10 Cats, A League of Their Own, Nevermind the Buzzcocks, and a ton more. My favourite, of course, isn't really a panel show, but it's still amazing enough to get mentioned, and that's Taskmaster. Not every comedian is a huge hit on it, of course, but they all bring such a different vibe and style to the way they choose to entertain and show their personality and their own style of humour to the audience. This is what really got me interested in comedy. And originally, I wasn't going to make a video on this movie specifically, because I don't really know how to review comedy movies. The main thing they're going for, of course, is laughs, and they either land or they don't. What else can I say? Yes, there's the micro-analyses of why the comedy works, but nobody wants to hear my pretentious ass talk about that. You've probably guessed it by now, but the movie that I'm talking about is the new Naked Gun. My interest in this movie was kicked off with the original trailer. It was clearly something that knew to not take itself too seriously in concept, which is great for a self-aware comedy with the type of jokes it's going for. Absurd slapstick action, dry seriousness during scenes of incredibly unorthodox situations, all spearheaded by the lead actor Liam Neeson, obviously known for his prestige acting and his specific set of skills. A bit of research I did after seeing the trailer showed that this was the exact reason he was chosen, putting a serious actor in a comic role, much like they originally did with Leslie Nielsen in the original Police Squad show, which inspired the Naked Gun trilogy and was a continuation of said show. I haven't seen the show, but I did watch all 3 movies. The first 2 hold up pretty well. Third one ain't as good, and it did have a transphobic bit that was pretty lame. Still not as bad as Ace Ventura, though. Anyway, I'd been itching for a good comedy series and all the slop I've been wanting to fill out my Letterboxd every movie I've seen in 2025 list. And having recently watched Taken, I was primed and ready to see what Neeson had in store. And I can safely say, he kinda cooked. The Naked Gun is a pretty simple movie. Detective Frank Drebin Jr., son of Frank Drebin of the original 3 Naked Gun movies and Police Squad, as portrayed by Leslie Nielsen, is trying to solve a murder of a man who drowned inside of an electric car, all the while surrounded by incompetence, chaos, and random cups of coffee that materialize in front of him. Working for Police Squad alongside the children of the other legacy characters, including his father's close companions. He tries to be exactly the same as his father, but also new, fresh, and entirely different. As his position at Police Squad is threatened, can Frank use the power of cartoon silliness to save the day and get the girl? Even in all of the movies I've previously seen with comedic elements, I have never heard a theatre laugh this loudly and consistently, ranging from some chuckles to outright bursts of laughter. I really appreciate the comedic style of this movie because of how much it incorporates slapstick, wordplay, action-based silent comedy, subversion of expectations, visual gags for the background, and just so much detail that I fully respected. One of the jokes in the movie that has stuck with me the most is a fucking poster that's on screen for like 8 seconds. Not to shade any of the other jokes, of course. The action is perfectly unserious, and each fight scene has unique enough gags and takedowns for me to enjoy every one of them. And I like that kind of approach. It helps keeps things fresh, and even though there are several running jokes, such as the aforementioned coffee cups materializing, they're done in ways that either vary from scene to scene, such as picking up random ones and dumping them from others, and later being handed them in increasingly absurd scenarios. They're separated long enough in the movie to not be repetitive either, because it's been long enough for our brains to reset and get surprised again. And it helps the ludicrous nature of when they're being given is very much increasing. The performances also very much elevate the jokes being made. As expected, Liam Neeson is basically parodying his past roles, especially in Taken. There's a scene of him discovering a murder, which is basically a complete riff on a scene from Taken 3, that is so funny when you know the context, and even without, seeing Frank stumble through it is quite entertaining. My favorite way he uses comedy, though, are in the quick dialogue exchanges with small misconceptions made between him talking to another character. Usually they'll say something that can mean two things, or in the specific context, you would be expected to read between the lines. But Frank doesn't, and instead gives a good bit. Pamela Anderson also understands her role perfectly, as the mysterious dame that gets caught up in everything, but isn't as innocent as she seems. And the noir archetype that she and Frank are filling in the stoic detective that is relied upon to solve the crime, and the suspicious but confident lady connected to the case, but wanting to make it more personal for her own gain eventually, of course, really works in elevating their humour style, since they form a connection that is both genuine and self-aware in regards to the tropes that it is commenting on, allowing for such scenes as their dinner date, which would normally be a pivotal romantic moment, to come across in a much more tongue-in-cheek commentary on the noir detective genre as a whole, by making the characters that would so desperately want to be taken seriously act like complete idiots. And that's what I love about this movie. The wide variety of humour lends itself to fire off bit after bit without any of them getting stale. And while yes, some of them do land better than others, they do something that I am very familiar with, that resonates with my own style of humour that you may or may not have noticed as I make my silly little YouTube videos. But basically, usually if I'm making a joke or saying something out of pocket or that I find funny, I keep the delivery dry and deadpan. I don't change up my tone and put too much emphasis on it. For me, this is because I rue the day I put my heart and soul into a joke and absolutely nobody finds it funny. So if it doesn't land, I just move on. Maybe it was taken seriously, maybe it was ignored. For the movie, this allows the jokes that don't fully land to also be moved on from. They weren't cringe or bad, they were just lines that maybe you didn't understand, like the Buffy and football jokes to me, or that you didn't find particularly funny, which is fine. Nonetheless, so many of the jokes are bangers. There's all-timers in here that top a lot of the ones from the previous movies, and the commitment to a lot of the bits has to be my favorite thing. Presenting seeds in ways to disguise the final punchline, or just full-on skipping context of certain characters' actions or interactions for the sake of the funny, is something done that I respect so fucking much. They go all out making this a comedy that is doing everything for the bit. It says something when there's plenty of themes and jokes about technology bad, old stuff good, but they're still framed in interesting enough ways to catch you off guard and get a laugh out of you. I could go on about the humour for hours, but I imagine I'm already sounding repetitive. So instead, I actually want to mention a fantastic point that a couple people on Twitter brought up, and it's exactly how this movie handles the legacy characters, i.e. the characters from the original Naked Gun trilogy. Leslie Nielsen, of course, is no longer with us, but his character is implemented into the story somewhat. The cops of Police Squad are all memorialized on a wall that their sons, a police squad, the new version, will occasionally mourn. Except Noidberg, of course. This is clearly a really funny bit. But Frank Jr. talking about how he wants to be the same, yet new and different, first of all plays into the idea of him being a reboot, but also speaks to him becoming his own person and stepping out of the shadow of his father's legacy. A legacy that would culminate in the final act of the movie, where we do technically get an appearance from Frank Drebin Sr. Not as a CGI monstrosity or an AI-generated slopfest, but instead what is essentially a spirit animal. And this is surprisingly really poignant and a respectable way for this movie to handle passing the torch. The last time I'd been this happy to see a tribute paid to a legendary dead actor was in Ghostbusters Afterlife, with the admittedly CGI Ghost Egon, but I didn't mind him being brought back there because his character's death was worked into the story as a main motivation for the family. And he shows up at the climax, has a sweet moment connecting with his granddaughter, and doesn't say a word. They don't remix old lines or train an AI on his voice. He's completely silent in a pretty powerful emotional beat. Say what you will about the quality of this movie, it's definitely not perfect, but it made me feel something. Back to movies that made me feel a lot of somethings though, The Naked Gun is genuinely one of my favourite cinema experiences. After watching the entire series to study up on the naked lore, I was a little scared it would be disappointing, but I had an absolute blast, as did my theatre. And as is the entire internet right now. Even the deleted scenes are fucking peak, man. Come on.
Ow, cover me. Excuse me.
To finish up though, I highly recommend The Naked Gun. This movie left a lasting impression on me and really is one of the best comedies to come out in recent memory. Anyone can watch it. You don't need to have seen the original trilogy, but I do need this to become its own trilogy. Give Liam Neeson $4 bajillion. I don't care what it takes. Frank Drebin Jr. must return. 8 out of 10. Can't wait to rewatch it. Also, I should probably start doing the YouTuber thing for engagement reasons. So if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you hit the like button. And if you'd like to see more of my excuses to talk about all the movies I watch, reviews. Then also hit subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel eventually, and sometimes the algorithm can be cruel, and I'm just a girl. So any and all help is greatly appreciated. I hope to see you again. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, a wise man touches his chin.